News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Whole Tree Care. The Rocky Mountain Power Foundation, a nonprofit arm of Rocky Mountain Power, recently dispersed more than $460,000 to support community organizations throughout Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming. In a release, the foundation says it centered its giving on organizations focused on delivering services and programs that offer accessible food and housing, health care, and mental health support, as well as disaster relief and public safety programs. 3 organizations in Cache Valley were among those who benefited from the foundation's grant giving, including the Cache Community Food Pantry to help the needs of food-insecure households, Common Ground Outdoor Adventures to provide adventure cycling, canoeing, climbing, downhill skiing, and cross-country skiing clinics for youth, special education classes, and Little Lambs Foundation for Kids to supply diapers, wipes, hygiene items, and other necessities for families in need. Steve Lichty, Rocky Mountain Power Regional Business Manager for Cache Valley, said in a statement that these organizations are local heroes working tirelessly to deliver safety, health, and wellness programs to neighbors in our communities, and they're honored to support their work. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather for tonight. Partly cloudy this evening, then mostly cloudy overnight, low in the upper 40s. A chance of rain showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon tomorrow. Cloudy and cooler with the high temperature around 60. North winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. It's 74 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Northern Steel Building. Steel is stronger, more flexible, and more dependable than wood, masonry, and concrete, plus steel is often less expensive. See their work online at northernsteelbuilding.com.
Men, sometimes women drop subtle hints like,
"Hey, honey, the weather sure is nice today."
Yeah, I think I'll go golfing with the fellas.
Ugh, whatever.
Sometimes we just need more direct language like,
"Honey, call Whole Tree Care to trim and clean up all those gnarly shrubs and dead, twisted branches. I want to enjoy the yard this summer, not dread it."
You know, I was thinking the same thing.
Call Whole Tree Care, 760-6587. Ask about their radio discount. They also do tree and stump removal. 760-6587.
KVNU News Time is 4:07. Idaho Governor Brad Little on Tuesday won the GOP gubernatorial primary, beating a Trump-backed challenger who had repeatedly criticized the incumbent for not being conservative enough. The intra-party contest between Little and Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeachin was an example of the choice GOP voters face nationwide between established candidates and insurgents endorsed by former President Trump. Little and McGeachin frequently feuded over coronavirus precautions and the role of government. Last year, McGeachin twice attempted a power grab when Little was out of the state on business. Republicans are almost guaranteed of winning in the general election, as Democrats have not held the governor's office since 1995 or statewide office since 2007 in Idaho. Republicans hold supermajorities in the House and Senate, and Democrats are not even contesting more than half of the legislature's 105 seats. Little, a rancher from southwest Idaho, served as lieutenant governor from 2009 to 2019 before becoming governor. And multiple law enforcement vehicles were outside Summit Academy High School in Bluffdale early Tuesday afternoon after social media posts prompted a lockdown. KUTV reports the lockdown and shelter-in-place order was lifted before 1 p.m. According to a school official, precautions were taken after at least 2 students posted photos on social media that showed them holding guns. In addition to the posts, there were apparently rumors about a fight happening after class. School officials erred on the side of caution and contacted police. KVNU News Time is 4:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Sean Hannity from 1 till 4 on News Talk KVNU 102 FM and 610 AM.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
Cache Valley. Close to it all, but just far enough away. We've always had our own way of doing things, and we're proud of it. And our transit district is paving the way to keep that spirit alive. CVTD is forging the path to help fuel the economy, from helping your neighbor get to work to clearing up the commute time traffic. We drive the economy, and CVTD drives us. Visit cvtdbus.org for service information.
Mama, what does the chicken say? Dog. Cat. Giraffe.
Giraffe, really?
Giraffe. You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight
with Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVN News for the People. Big show for everyone today. Representative Dan Johnson will be joining us in hour 2. He was the recipient of an award today that he said he didn't even expect. He was awarded the Friends of EMS Award from the state and for the state of Utah. And we'll talk to him about why, what he did to receive this honor, but also why emergency services have been such a focus of his in his time in the Utah House of Representatives. Kicking off hour 1 here of today's show, though, we are excited to welcome back into the studio for this month's segment of Speak to the Mayor, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines. If you have a comment or question, 753-5868. And Mayor Daines, welcome.
Thank you.
We had a good time. We missed you last month, but we had a good time talking about everything, actually.
You had Paul Lindhart and Hart Wybrow, correct, from the streets and the Public Works Department?
It was amazing, and that hour went by so fast, but we had a chance to talk about almost everything going on in the city, from specific road projects to management of gutters and cleanup and things like that. But also, I had no idea how big, kind of what we take for granted topic, I guess, but because not every city in the valley does this. I had no idea what it took for Logan City to do the spring green waste cleanup that they do.
I know. That is a huge investment of time. And again, periodically we say, as the city grows and we get more quantity and, our staffing hasn't increased over the years.
Sure.
So do we continue this service? Do we say, folks, you're on your own? Again, back when I was growing up, you could put anything out. You could put old chairs, old washers, dryers,
right.
And it got to be that was overwhelming. And so they went just to the green waste, which again, it's a goal to try and divert what we can out of the landfill in order to, make it last longer, and green waste can be chipped and used for other things. So that was, I can't remember exactly when that change was made, but I wish I had the number in front of me. They once told me how many miles of, curb you have in Logan City, because, that's 2 sides of every street just for our street sweepers to go through and clean, to do leaf pickup. I mean, it's amazing how big a job it really is.
That's, I think of, you and I here in the studio had a conversation several months ago that I also didn't know how many trees, for example, Logan City maintains, which, who doesn't want that? I'm not saying the trees should go, but
Right.
but that's, there are a lot of these things that fall into the category of, daily maintenance or weekly maintenance or something that can be taken for granted, like an annual spring cleanup event that happens. But the resources involved here are huge. And then growth, of course, population of the city is going to change. And it made me think of some of these, and I know they can be controversial, but some of these discussions that Logan City has embarked on and that you've embarked on as mayor with other cities, relationships that have existed for decades sometimes, where you've gone to them and said, it's time to renegotiate. It's time to sit down and discuss, because Logan's growing, the other cities are growing, the demands of all of these services, of course, are intensifying. And Logan has kind of bared the brunt of this, expense-wise, for a long time, right?
Well, and when it started out, I mean, one of the topics we're discussing right now is garbage collection. When it's way back when we started collecting for the whole county, I mean, this was 40 years ago.
Wow.
Logan was bigger than the county, and it wasn't that difficult for us to go out and do some other municipalities. And
makes sense.
We've actually hosted the landfill for 60 years, which has been
wow,
used by the entire county. So again, it's come to the point, given our growth, and when we looked at the numbers from the last census, I mean, every community has just grown dramatically.
Sure.
And what used to be one truck going to a city outside of Logan, well, now it's one truck for garbage, and it's one truck for maybe commercial pickups, and one truck's to the farmers for pickups. And then, over the years, we've added the green waste and the recycling, which, again, helps keep things out of the landfill stream. It's the right thing to do on recycling and
sure.
And also the green waste. But
it does come at a cost, right? I mean, you think, even just green waste, there's a green waste, one or two green waste bins in every city. And then Logan sort of takes care of that, organizes it, things like that.
Right, and they pay for the service.
Oh,
again,
sure.
And again, other cities do pay for that. And a while back, there was a discussion, do we continue this service? Is it valuable to you? And they said, yes, it is valuable. And they agreed to pay for it. But it's been kind of an unusual situation. The contract is with the county. And so the county actually, we have to go to the county and they set the rates. So if we want a rate increase, that is not in our control. And again, as we looked at the future of, do we as Logan City want to be a huge for-profit garbage collection business? Or do we just want to serve our citizens? And
sure.
Part of the thinking there was, if we're really going to continue to accommodate the growth and serve the other cities, we need to significantly increase our personnel, our equipment, and it just simply takes more time and energy and fuel and wear and tear on equipment and number of trucks
sure.
to serve the cities outside of Logan City. So we just looked at that, and again, if we were to continue to do that, we'd need a new, what we call a transfer station in the north and the south,
oh, sure.
To take things to North Valley Landfill.
And that's a given, right, with population growth?
Right.
Something just, like that is coming.
It's part of the long-range plan, but again, we realized Logan doesn't control that. We don't control property outside of the city. And so, again, I think that's been a little challenging because
sure.
to the other cities, because they simply have not had to think about it for 40 years. And
sure.
I think Logan has done a pretty good job of keeping rates low and doing it, providing a good service. And that was always our goal is, our service has to be well priced, it has to be efficient and effective, and because you really do have a monopoly.
Sure.
And so at this point, it's like, well, cities, other areas have grown to the point where they're to a point where they can take over. And whether it's they're looking at things like private waste management companies, again, does the county step up now and as the overall umbrella organization, are they the right ones to take on this service? Do they just do it for the unincorporated areas and let cities handle their own? But that is, those are the questions that the cities are discussing right now and trying to decide what works best for them. And, we've given them, a couple of years to sort that out, said we'll even, we'll go to 2.5 years because, if they do need to mount a new service, that can, it is complex.
Sure.
I mean, it's
requires some planning. And
right.
We did, incidentally, we did, I'm not incidentally, very related. We did have a chance recently. We spoke with leaders in a few different cities, Providence and Hiram and others. And one thing that everyone echoed is that they actually, after some initial shock, they appreciated that the city of Logan, that Logan City had come to the leadership of other cities with this, let's have this discussion now, so far in advance of when it actually needs to happen. Any change might need to happen. That was appreciated because I'm trying to remember if it was Providence or Hiram Mayor. One of the two told us that the cities have been given enough time to figure this out. It'll be a lot of change. It'll be tough. There'll be a lot of meetings and discussions, but there is time to figure this out before it's an emergency or before someone's budget is about to go up in flames.
And we want them to be successful. It's like we want to help you in any way we can during the transition. Isa Hamoud, who's run the environmental department for years and years, has so much experience, and it's like let us. We've given them information on routes, on the number of cans, on the number of households, so they can try and get, some good bids, or at least put good information in an RFP to get bids. And again, Mayor Lindsay Peterson of North Logan has kind of taken the lead for the other mayors, and she's been excellent to work with. She's, very down to earth, and it's like, we need to move forward and figure out what works best for our communities, and they're in process of doing that, so.
And this is, again, as every city faces growing pains of each city has its own unique immediate challenges, but the one thing every city in the valley is dealing with is that we're all growing, population's growing, and planning is key to all of this. Do you see this coming up with water, with sewer, with anything else? Are there other things on the horizon that you think a conversation will need to happen with?
Well, and I mean, the sewer, we're actually in really good shape. At least Logan and the 6 cities who use the new water treatment plant and USU. So that's the group that it serves. And we have like 40-year contracts in place for that because it's such a huge project, $150 million that,
big project.
The payback needed to be over a long period of time. And there's a board that sets the rates. And again, we've suggested, if we get to discussions about the landfill, maybe that's an appropriate way to set rates for the landfill so everyone feels like they're treated fairly, that there's a board that has representation from the cities.
Makes
you
sense.
Maybe have some professionals like a public service commission type input. So that's
interesting.
One item that's under discussion. But again, we soon will be scheduling a ribbon cutting for the wastewater treatment plant. It's been
really? Already?
It's been under testing. They actually turned the first bit of sewer in a few months ago. They've been testing, and they have to get the bugs all balanced. So they've imported, some sewer from some other water treatment plants to kind of seed the bacteria that that treats it.
Makes sense.
But it's an incredible facility. I mean, again, the infrastructure there
is impressive. I didn't realize the ribbon cutting was just around the corner.
Right. So we, probably sometime this summer we'll do that. Again, they're in testing. It's already, they're running, sewer through it and starting to treat it. But at some point we'll let the public come out and see that if they'd like.
Yet another project in the works for a long time, about to come to. Right. I say this on the show all the time. It's a pretty exciting time in Logan City, and you can kind of, when we get a chance to speak with residents of the city, when they call and things like that, you can kind of feel it out there in the atmosphere a little bit. Speaking of that, if you have something you'd like to ask or comment on with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio this full hour, 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to everyone's metal store, Palmer's Metal Mart. Now, those of you that have been around for a while, don't let the name fool you. We are the same Metal Mart you've come to know for almost 30 years. We've just added a bit to our name, Palmer's, in honor of our late founder. And it is added to the Metal Mart name as a promise to continue the legacy of everyone's metal store. Palmer's Metal Mart was founded to make sure everyone had access to great steel products at competitive prices. So for almost 30 years, Palmer's Metal Mart has been the place to go for steel, metal roofing, rebar, aluminum, and so much more. For orders big and small, Palmer's Metal Mart is your place. So come on in and let's get your metal project started. If it's metal, pretty good chance you can find it here. Amazing selection, excellent service. That's everyone's metal store, Palmer's Metal Mart. In Lehigh and Logan, visit us online at palmersmetalmart.com. Call today in Lehigh, 801-768-3332. And in Logan, 435-363-9001. See you soon at everyone's metal store, Palmer's Metal Mart.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have questions. How do you make your savings last? How much should you take out and when? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? Your Edward Jones financial advisor can help you build a strategy to help your finances keep up with your needs over the long haul. You've done what it takes to get there. Now it's time to make the most of retirement. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Edward Jones office. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Serving overseas was just the beginning. We might be home from war, but our mission continues in communities all across the country. It's why we're out there in times of peace and crisis, providing meals to the hungry and supplies to the sick. It's why we're giving strength to those who are too weak and bringing resources to those without them. Service doesn't stop when we're done serving. It's what makes us the VFW. Learn more at vfw.org.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Helmets are important for every bike ride, no matter how short. Did you know helmets are also important to wear when skateboarding, inline skating, or riding a scooter? A helmet can protect against a skull fracture or other facial injuries. Look for a helmet that fits correctly and that's certified for safety. Make sure you and your child wear a helmet every time. For more, visit healthychildren.org or talk with your pediatrician.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. I'm Jason Williams. In the studio with us this hour, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines. It is Speak to the Mayor this hour on For the People. Representative Dan Johnson joining us in hour 2, so be sure to stay tuned for that. 753-5868 if you have a question or a comment for the mayor. And Mayor Daines, I sort of started us off there on a random thing that popped into my head from recent shows and interviews we've done here, but you always come with a list of things on your mind as well, and in general, a lot happening in Logan City. We got a great update last month on roads, on spring cleanup, on all of that, kind of an inside look into the way I would put it, I guess, just how busy things are inside Logan City right now. Some of it typical, just general city business, but there's a lot going on. That project, south end of town, connecting that road through on First East or First West, that's moving quickly.
It is. It's supposed to be open by November, so the
That's
contractor
amazing.
is moving quickly again. I mean, you think about the, multiple years of planning that have gone into that. I mean, from, you start back with a concept and then property acquisition and, finally the bidding process. But it's going at a really good speed right now, and that
That's
will
impressive.
have some nice benefits and some nice tie-ins to the trail system. And then again, they're in planning for the pedestrian underpass that will go under Main Street to connect the Gateway development with, the north side of the Riverwoods complex. And that will be a great connection for our trail system and active transportation in the valley. So that should be constructed next season, the underpass.
That's impressive. And you can kind of feel in the air. In fact, I ran into Mr. Downtown Alliance himself, Gary Saxton, the other day, doing well after his accident, and we talked a little bit. He reminded me the Top of Utah Marathon's coming, and that for a lot of people is one of the biggest events. But I started going through the calendar of events in Logan City, starting next weekend, in fact, and it's just a steady stream of things going on, and then the city in all this transition around this at the same time. It hasn't, speaking with Gary and with other, directly with downtown business owners, have they been impacted negatively at all by the transition there at Center Block? Most that I spoke with said things have been going pretty well, not a lot of change.
Right. I mean, again, we have occasional parking issues. We're trying to manage those. The construction people are all supposed to park in a certain designated area, but there are multiple projects going on, and sometimes there's a little overlap there, but we keep trying to manage the parking. That's probably the biggest issue that comes up. But, they're almost finished with the demolition contract on Center Block Plaza. It was scheduled to go till mid-May. Just due to supply chain issues, they were waiting for some rebar for some of the foundations that had to go back in before they filled the hole, filled the space. So I think they're, a couple of weeks behind that, but they had the walkthrough on the bids, so we'll do bid opening on the project. Let's see, I think that's next week, if I recall. Maybe anyway, it's getting close. And then the library, they've got footings in for the library, so things are happening
it looks
there.
like a building. That was a quick project. Was there something about that project that made it a little easier for them? Because that went down and started to look like new construction within what seemed like a week.
I mean, again, the contractor was very well organized. We got the asbestos, done fairly quickly. Sometimes you have to wait a long time for that, but things went smoothly on that. And I know. I mean, originally we had planned to maybe start in the fall, and, as the construction drawings came together, it was clear that we needed to take a little more time, which we did over the winter, so then we could start once the weather improved. And again, we got those really nice donations that allowed us to add some of those extra, or keep some of those lovely things in that we probably would have had to cut.
That's right.
Due to everything's going up with construction. It's a little crazy right now. So
yeah, it's unfortunately, I know in my community, I know several home builds that are on pause.
Yeah. Right
now, which is unfortunate. You think of families being affected by that. But this is a great question coming in from a listener. Listener said, with USU students, most of them at least, leaving for the summer, they noticed immediately, improvement in traffic in some areas. Listener wants to know, just generally, do representatives of the city and Utah State University talk frequently about traffic issues, parking issues involving the student body? I'm not sure if it sounds like they're not speaking about a specific event, just noticing that the traffic lightened a lot over the last week with graduation. But there are regular discussions about that type of thing, right?
Again, I mean, it's pretty clearly demarcated, what university property is, and they deal with that, and, we deal with city streets. I mean, we certainly cooperate and have discussions, and for those that have been on 8th East lately, I mean, there is, 8th or is it 12th? It's 8th East that has the new pedestrian-activated stoplight to go from the housing across to the stadium. So that was something we partnered on to make work from a safety perspective. And, we actually we're hoping to get CDBG funds. Our city council approves that in the next few weeks. Some of that money we'd like to use on some additional pedestrian-activated signals, like in places where we connect our trail system. I mean, there's one at the top of the Dugway where, the trail comes up the boulevard and then continues up 4th North there to the tunnel under USU. And there's several other spots that we'd like to. One's under discussion for 2nd East and 7th North potentially, because, again, sometimes there's such a steady flow of traffic that, how does a pedestrian get across? But again, this allows it, the traffic can be unimpeded unless someone is there, and then they can push the button and the flashers will stop it briefly while they get across. So we may use some of that fund. And then also we'll be putting in some additional sidewalks down at Willow Park, some ADA corners. Again, we're always trying to make our parks in particular are more accessible to those who, whether it's a wheelchair, whether it's a stroller, whether it's, just various mobility issues, a mobility device. So that should be some nice improvement there. But maybe I'll talk just a little bit about our parks, if it's okay.
Sure.
Logan.
This was on my mind recently. It also came up last month, the acreage of parks in Logan City and what it takes to manage those.
Exactly. And, we have always just done an impeccable job with managing our parks. But, I think everyone in the Valley knows what a labor shortage we have right now. We typically hire 16 full-time summer employees to help with our parks. Right now, we have like 6 or 7.
Wow.
And we're just not sure those will get filled at all this summer.
And that's happening in other cities as well, I've heard.
It is. I know we're all dealing with that issue, but, where we used to clean pavilions, daily because people have reservations and so on, we've had to, send out notices to people saying, we are sorry, you need to come a little earlier, allow enough time that, if you need to wipe down the tables before your event, if that's something that's important to you, plan on that. Bathrooms used to be cleaned daily, but I think, we're hoping we can get them cleaned once a week. Just totally different for us than, this is not a problem we've had to deal with before. I think we finally did get up to full capacity on our lifeguards because we were looking at, my word, do you have to shut down the pool one day a week because you just simply don't have enough lifeguards to staff
which you
it.
would have to, right?
I know you
Without
have
the staffing.
you have requirements on how many lifeguards you need. So I guess I just ask people to be a little patient with us this summer, and I think we're going to put some signage on the restrooms just saying, we're sorry, it's not getting attention as frequently as normal. If you see a problem, please let us know. There's a report a problem feature on the city website, or you can call the city and, let us know. But again, I hope people will be a little patient, and we're actually seeking volunteers to say, on the night that you pull out garbage in your neighborhood, would you be willing to go to your neighborhood park and, pick up any trash if it's spilled out of cans or something and pull those cans out to the street?
Oh, yeah.
Again, typically our employees would go around the day before garbage day and do that at every park, but we just literally don't have the bodies to do that. So we're hoping maybe to get some volunteer help through our neighborhood councils or the Just Serve website or Summer Citizens. Again, anyone who'd like to help, we'd be thrilled.
Please reach out to the city. And it's something hitting every city. The county also struggling with this a bit, but a real labor shortage. These jobs usually taken up very quickly because they're decent paying jobs, and there's in fact a young demographic that everyone fought for these jobs, but it's the labor force is just not there right now. Everyone's working elsewhere already, and so if you would like to help in any way, reach out to the city. Contact information at the city website, loganutah.org. Our guest here in the studio again is Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, here with us for the hour. If you have a question or comment, 753-5868. Step away for a quick look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:38, and the news is brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A legislative commission is floating the idea of a pipeline to bring water from the Pacific Ocean into the Great Salt Lake. Senator David Hinkins, Republican from Orangeville, who co-chairs the Legislative Water Development Commission, said there's a lot of water in the ocean, and there's very little in the Great Salt Lake. At a meeting Tuesday, the commission authorized a study of the idea, along with a number of other water measures, while acknowledging it does seem like an unusual idea. The study would look at the cost to actually create a pipeline from the ocean across California and the Sierra Nevada mountains across the deserts of Nevada and ultimately into the Great Salt Lake in Utah. Senator Hinkins told Fox 13 News that other countries are doing it to fill their lakes because of the drought situations. In a recent study, the World Health Organization researched the nation's healthiest and unhealthiest states and found that Utah is the 5th healthiest state in the U.S. The study analyzed data from America's health rankings and considered numerous factors, including the smoking rate, obesity, premature death rate, physical inactivity, public health funding per capita, excessive drinking rate, uninsured residents, and primary care physicians per populations. The study found that Utah has the lowest rate of excessive drinking at 12% and the lowest smoking rate at 7.9%. Also, Utah ranked the lowest of the states in terms of physical inactivity, with only 18.5% of residents not regularly exercising. America's top 5 healthiest states are Vermont, Massachusetts, Hawaii, Connecticut, then Utah. And powerful Idaho House Speaker Scott Bedke has won the GOP primary for lieutenant governor. The fourth-generation rancher, who is generally considered an expert on the state's water issues, defeated State Representative Priscilla Giddings in a race called today following voting in Tuesday's primary. The race was another battle between an established Republican in Bedke against a far-right candidate in Giddings. Giddings was censured by her House colleagues late last year after publicizing the name of a 19-year-old intern who reported she was raped by another House lawmaker. KVNU News Time is 4:40.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
KVNU weather tonight, partly cloudy this evening, then mostly cloudy overnight, low in the upper 40s. And then Thursday, kind of a cloudy day, chance of rain showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. It will be cooler, high around 60, with north winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. Mostly cloudy, then partly cloudy and quite cold Thursday night, Friday morning for this time of year. Low expected around 30 early Friday morning, and then slight chance of showers during the afternoon on Friday, and cooler still. Mid-50s for the high. It's been to 76. It's 74 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Logan Extermination. Bugs and all their creepy friends want to come inside. Call Logan Extermination to come spray your foundation and keep them out for only $55 per month. Call 752-8450. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Branch Office Administrator Brittany Chambers bringing you the Daily Financial Market Report on behalf of Financial Advisor Daryl Arnell and Edward Jones. Data out on Wednesday showed April housing starts fell slightly, marking the third straight month of lower new construction activity. Similarly, building permits were also lower for the month, reflecting waning demand that Edward Jones would attribute primarily to rising mortgage costs. Mortgage applications fell 12% last week as 30-year mortgage rates hover near 5.5%. Edward Jones doesn't expect a collapse in the housing market, and it should be noted that new home construction is still at the highest level since 2006. With shelter costs representing a meaningful component of the Consumer Price Index, the silver lining is that some cooling in the housing market could help bring down inflation pressures more broadly. U.S. equities closed lower today. The Dow closed down 1,161 points, or 3.56%, at 31,494. The Nasdaq closed down 566 points, or 4.73%, at 11,418. The S&P 500 closed down 165 points, or 4%, at 3,924. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 2.9% lower by 0.07 percentage points. In stocks of local interest, Home Depot closed down $15.77 to $285.18. Lowe's closed down $10.21 to $183.82. Nucor is down $5.89 to $119.18. Pepsi is down $10.81 to $163.65. Thermo Fisher is down $12.43 to $542.17. Walmart is down $1.92 to $122.43. Zions Bank is down $1.52 to $53. Northrop Grumman is down $4.41 to $454.87. In commodity markets, the price of crude oil was down $3.04 or 2.7% at $109.36, and the spot price of gold was down $4 or 0.2% to $1,814.90. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Wow, your cars look so shiny.
Thanks. I've been taking them to Green Gorilla Car Wash. Thanks to their new ceramic application, my cars have never had such a glossy shine.
Sounds expensive.
You haven't heard about their sale? Right now, their Jungle membership with ceramic coating is half off for every vehicle. Instead of $30 per month, I'm only paying $14.99 from now until September 2022.
That's almost a whole year.
I know. My half-price membership is good at both Green Gorilla locations in the valley.
I better head there now.
For over 50 years, AMCO Total Car Care has been experts in repairs for transmissions, brakes, tune-ups, and more. AMCO provides free towing to their Logan location with any major repair. And right now, you can receive $250 off a transmission rebuild. They're here to help with no credit needed financing. Find your local AMCO at 75 West, 2000 North, or call 752-1940. Exclusions apply. See local AMCO dealer for details. Financing subject to third-party approval.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, our guest in studio this hour, and you're welcome to join us, 753-5868. And Mayor Daines, once again, we've covered a lot of ground here, just kind of randomly hopping around, and some questions from listeners. Always welcome. We did, last time you were in, we talked kind of a big, broad overview of everything going on, and we sort of made a list of all of these projects, and they're churning right along. With some minor delays, as you mentioned, with things like shortages and supply chain issues and things like that. Is there a big, this is jumping way ahead, but is there something, you're in your second term here, is there something that's nagging at you right now that you're saying, that's got to get done too before before my term is up? Because this is a lot that I know as a city council member. A lot of this you also worked on moving ahead as a council member for years. Are there unfinished projects that are weighing heavy?
One thing that we're starting to discuss right now that I have some concern about is power resource. And of course, everyone else in the county, Hiram has their own municipal power service, as does Logan. So we do produce some power, although hydro is down given the dry years.
Sure. We
purchase power through UAMPS, which is the cooperative group that a number of cities through the state use to purchase power. But baseload power is becoming an issue nationwide. We have a lot of renewables that are coming on the market, and that's great. But the reality is you have to have backup for all those renewables, because what if you have a wintertime inversion in Cache Valley and, for 3 or 4 days you don't see the sun? Or what if you have a cloudy day,
Sure.
Your solar, once the sun goes down, unless you have some battery, but again, that's only storage for a short period of time, so it extends your season. Our demand is going up. Peak power is becoming more and more expensive to buy. Everyone knows what's happened to Lake Powell. We used to get a tremendous amount of power from what they call the Colorado River Storage Project, which is the power produced at Lake Powell and some of the other ancillary dams. We are getting about 25% of what we're contracted for, what we expected to have.
Wow.
And if that lake continues to drop, that may go away. IPP power it's a coal plant that is transitioning to natural gas. Well, when it transitions to natural gas, it will have half the capacity it did before. But even now, we're not getting the power we normally do from that, because because of labor shortages at the railroad, they're not getting the coal deliveries. And, we're trying to move away from coal power, and we've added 15 megawatts of potential solar projects that are coming on board. But again,
wow, really?
Yeah, and one has some battery storage, so we're exploring ways to try and, we all need to use more renewable energy, but our country's not there yet. I mean, in terms of having adequate baseload power. So
sure,
that's something that we're starting to talk about. How do we address that issue? And our customers are going to see a surcharge on their power bills this summer, most likely as peaking power gets very expensive. And we're going to mount some conservation campaigns to try and encourage people during those peak times. Everybody wants to come home from work. Well, they plug in their electric car, they turn on their dishwasher, they run the laundry, they crank up the air conditioner.
Yeah.
And
hopefully the air conditioner has been running all day while they're at work. Hopefully, at least, right?
Right. So, again, we're preparing a campaign to try and encourage people to conserve where they can, to push uses to non-peak times when, power is much less expensive to buy. So,
and it really can be as simple as you've mentioned, running the dishwasher at night. Maybe limiting the hours the air conditioner is running. It that really does matter, right?
Right, a smart thermostat that can, time things. So that's something that has come up really quite recently that
interesting
we will be addressing.
25% of what the city is contracted for. I mean, I knew power coming out of that Lake Powell partnership was slim right now, but 25% is really slim.
Right.
Do you see? I know the city and others in justifiably pulled out of this experimental project that was going on outside of Idaho Falls.
The small-scale nuclear reactor.
The underground modules. And for those that didn't follow the story, a lot of administrative problems, some difficulty being able to report back to cities where money was going and why. So smartly, I think cities pulled out and said, for now, we're out. But is that something that's still kind of on the radar for Logan City in the future?
Well, again, we pulled out of the project. The project is moving forward.
Sure.
They've scaled back the size. They're still hoping, I think, to be online by 2025. But again, one of the issues with that, they needed a lot of water to run that plant. And my understanding is they're still in the process of trying to acquire those water shares. Again, it's just a brand new technology, and that was part of the concern. No one has ever tried this before. And, that may very well be the future if we want clean baseload power that is in a small footprint. Every sort of energy has its, pros and cons.
Sure.
But, wind farms take up a great deal of just land use, and, they're variable. I mean, the same with solar farms. Again, the panels, what do you do with them when, the usage has expired? It takes. So there are no easy answers there, but, we all want to get away from coal as much as we can and as soon as we can.
Sure.
But this country, I mean, it's not just Logan, It's not just Utah. This country is facing a real challenge over baseload energy.
Sure. I know, in the federal infrastructure bill, there was money earmarked for, grid updates and changes to certain grid technologies. And the state now figuratively has that money and is slowly doling it out. Do you see any of that coming Logan City's way are there improvements that could be made, in the infrastructure side of power that would make a big impact? Or things are pretty new, right? With the Logan grid.
We have done a really good job at keeping our infrastructure in good shape, at upgrading, which is a good thing because right now, getting a new transformer, I mean, we have some kind of in stock, but, you're talking a year or two to get, the bigger transformers. So supply chain issues are affecting that. And also one thing I should say to your listeners, we've talked about this in council a little bit, and actually I think it was Charlie Schill that, who as part of your group, wrote that, well, there could be brownouts this summer. It's like, no, we do not expect brownouts. Power may be expensive this summer. We do expect it to be expensive.
Surcharges.
And we expect the surcharges. But at this point, again, there will be power available. There will not be brownouts, but it will be more expensive. So
that would be.
And given the first of the year, we are going to do a new rate study because electric rates haven't gone up in Logan City for 10 years.
Yeah. Which is uncommon for cities to go that long.
It's probably time, but we do a cost of service study to analyze what it's costing us to provide the service, and then we set rates accordingly. So
that is fascinating to take a look inside of this, because another thing we all take for granted, we flip the switch, the light comes on. That's the end of it for most of us, but a lot behind the scenes when it comes to our electricity, and some challenges ahead for Logan City, for every city in the valley, and actually I would say the state and the region as well, with all these changes. Rocky Mountain Power announcing some changes with plants nearby in Wyoming that will affect all of this as well. What's going on in Lake Powell, or not going on in Lake Powell, I guess is the way you'd put that.
Right.
Big challenges. 753-5868 if you'd like to join us. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, our guest this hour, and we'll be back right after this.
This is Ty over at Chim Chimney Fireplace. A lot of people hear our name and think we just sweep chimneys. While that is definitely our heritage, we specialize in providing the very best fireplaces and stoves to new and existing homes. We invite you to come see why Lopi Stoves lead the industry in performance and quality. With Fireplace Extraordinaire Fireplaces, we can bring any of your designs to life. From cozy and traditional to sleek and modern, come experience the warmth at Chim Chimney Fireplace in Logan and Brigham City, or online at chimchimney.com.
Independent living, assisted living, home health care. How do you know what's right for your loved one? A visit to Legacy House of Logan is a great place to start. Legacy House is a wonderful place for seniors to be with others who share similar interests. Their various levels of care offer social and recreational activities, delicious meals, medical monitoring, and more in a comfortable home-like environment. Let Legacy House help you help your loved one enjoy the care and comfort they deserve. Learn more at Legacy House of Logan on 1400 North in Logan.
My name is Gloria Nadal, and I chose Roof Rescue. They exceeded my expectations because they were able to follow through with the insurance company, establish a rapport, and ultimately the insurance company took responsibility and paid for my roof to be replaced. The products that they use were top-notch. My roof is beautiful. I would recommend them over and over again. My name is Gloria Nadal, and I encourage you to choose Roof Rescue.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Schedule a free consultation with Dr. Paul Daines by calling 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Just a few minutes left here with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio. And Mayor Daines, appreciate your time. We've covered a lot of ground, but any final issues or items you'd like to throw out there for folks to pay attention to?
I guess one quick last issue going back to the parks. You know, a couple of years ago we changed to allow some of our parks to be dog-friendly parks in terms of you can have them off-leash. And they've generally done pretty well, but there is one that we are on the verge of closing down in terms of allowing dogs because people aren't picking up after their dogs. It's Jens Johansson Park on 100 North, and I guess we're just, you know, our poor parks crew, as we talked about, short-staffed. I mean, they can't go in and clean this up, you know, before they have to mow and, you know, edge and, you know, do the weed eating and all of that. So people, you know, if you're there, if you see someone that's not taking care of their dog's business, mention to them, you know, if you want this park to continue, you know, do what you need to do. Be responsible for your dog. So I guess that's, and most of the dog parks have been doing pretty well, but that one's on probation.
It's always surprising to me because this is such a standard rule at dog parks. In fact, good luck finding a dog park where this isn't a rule. Right. You know, and yet it does surprise me how often I see people. And they'll spend more effort looking around to make sure nobody sees them not pick it up than if they just picked it up.
Yeah. And there's bags at all the dog parks have the little baggy stations, but you should carry your own anyway if for some reason they're out. But So to end on that note.
Pick it up, folks. Pick it up. Because honestly, the alternative, and not just Logan City, this is happening in other cities as well. I know Hiram dealt with this for a while. The alternative is you lose the dog park because it can't be maintained in a safe and healthy way for the community. So, Mayor Daines, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down, and we'll see you next month. For listeners, if you'd like to know more, you can contact Mayor Daines, anyone at the city really, through contact information available at the website loganutah.org. And we'll be back. Representative Dan Johnson joining us to talk about an award he received today that was a surprise to him, even. That's coming up in hour 2 here on KVNU Logan.